Every parent's nightmare. Stephen and Ashley join us now. Welcome to the sofa.
Well, guys.
It was so good. We watched it last night. Absolutely incredible. I was like gripped. I went on to the next episode and then fell asleep, because obviously, but I wanted to carry on and carry on.
Thank you.
But it's so good. What inspired you to write this?
It was, honest to God, Al, to be honest, completely honest. I read an article in the paper and it was about a young girl who's been stabbed to death by a young boy.
Yeah.
And then a couple of months later, I was watching the news and there was another story about a young boy who stabbed a young girl to death. And I just, if I'm really honest with you, it hurt my heart. And I just thought, as a parent as well, it just kind of made me think, what's going on with society?
Yeah.
What's happening today where this is becoming a regular occurrence? And you know that beautiful saying, it takes a village to raise a child? Well, in a way, I think that we're all kind of slightly accountable, from the side of the parenting, the school, the political structure, the society itself, and then what we didn't have when we were kids, social media, and the influence of social media.
Just huge.
They parent our kids just as much as we do today. And we're not pointing the finger specifically at any one thing. We're just saying, let's talk about this, do you know what I mean? Let's bring this into our awareness.
I think that's what's so powerful about it, is it's in one take, which is still head-scratch. I mean, it's an incredible job your director did and you guys have done. But it's that normalisation, like your house is normal, your child is normal, everything he's got like he's still a child. The fact there's stars, there's like the solar systems on the wallpaper. It's the little parts of it where he's in the witness room and you tell him to eat his cornflakes. It's all of those things that, as a parent, you just sort of resonate with because this is still a child. And you rarely see a drama from a perpetrator's family's point of view as well.
Exactly, that was another thing we wanted to do. We wanted to show a different narrative, but we also wanted this to be, it could be your people next door, or more importantly, it could happen to any one of us.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? That's why we kind of decided to make this story.
It is unbelievable. You just touched on it then, the fact that it's one take, which is incredible. I mean, what are the logistics of doing a one take, and how difficult is that actually? If it goes wrong, do you have to start again?
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah.
Do you?
I mean, there's huge amount of planning that goes into it. We spent like 2 weeks, a week rehearsing with just the actors, a week with the actors and camera, and then a week shooting. So you do like 2 takes a day, right?
Yes.
And you get 10 chances basically, and you have to get it within that.
Matt Lewis, our DOP, there, superb.
Yeah.
So by the time you start, it's almost like theatre. It's almost like muscle memory, isn't it?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's exactly what it was. I mean, I came to set thinking it was going to be a blast, like I was going to have a blast or whatever, and then I found myself every night crying and rocking myself to sleep, like with my script.
No, babe, it's good. I've got working with Stephen again. I'm going to have so much fun on
Top
set.
Boy was a breeze.
Man,
That was a breeze.
The thing, see, what we actually do within this, with the structure of this, we combine both disciplines, so you marry them together. So you've got the liveliness and the spontaneity of theatre, and that kind of energy that creates. But then you've got the naturalism and the realism of television and film camera. But what that does as well is both us as actors and the crews, you're one team.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
So you can't, like, ad-lib, you can't, like, go off.
No, look, there was room for that. But everyone just had to be aware that whatever happens, you have to go with it. Once that train goes and you're on it...
We're on it.
That's it. So whatever happens, you got to go with it.
You're on it to get it.
And sometimes that made for beautiful, beautiful moments that we weren't expecting.
Didn't you rock up on set with a bit of a dicky back as well? Wasn't
Yeah, my back was gone. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I had a bad back. I was playing basketball with my daughter the day I was meant to get the train, jumped and my back went jarred a bit.
You came in a wheelchair.
Oh, yeah, I
You're not young men anymore.
Was you milking that bit, though? Was you milking it a little bit?
No, not at all. I mean, listen, I was so upset with myself.
I'll tell you what, though, when Hannah and Joe Johnson saw him, when Hannah, the producer, who's also a wonderful wife, fellow love, when they saw him, what was their face like?
It was a picture. Great. We didn't think we was going to be able to do it, to be fair.
You had running scenes and everything, didn't you?
Yeah, but by that point, I mean, that was episode 2, but by that point...
he was OK.
I was OK.
You look good.
Yeah, he ain't running fast there, though, is he? Look, that's a... What was concerned?
No, hold on.
It's a contentious point.
Let's not get into the running thing. It's acting running.
Yeah, that's bad. Watch, he nearly gets knocked over here by a motorbike. Look.
Oh, it's so good.
So what you have to understand as well, Dermot, don't, you know, the lad can run, but that's
the camera as
the
well,
lad can
I
run, but that's Dad's running. That's Dad's running.
I
But
knew this
also,
was gonna come.
you have to take into account the whole crew, you know, the movements across the road, locking the road off. That's why this crew, the entire crew, I'm not being, you know, I'm just going to be very honest. They're the best crew I've ever worked with.
What a cast as well. You've got some great actors.
We've got an amazing
there. Aaron
cast, we really
Doherty. The word about Owen Cooper, because the young kid, he is just phenomenal.
Magic.
Yeah, he's unbelievable.
It really is, man.
I think he's a once-in-a-lifetime generational talent, you know what I mean? He's phenomenal. We saw over 500 kids, and Shaheen Baig, who's just marvellous, and Philip Barantini, our director, who, you know him, I've known for years. He's a good mate. But
I think Ashley's the nicest copper I've ever seen.
So measured and calm,
so
isn't he?
measured, so calm. I really like.
he's-
Did you do some research into the police as well?
We did, actually. I went on a raid with... it was with your cousin, wasn't it?
you did, yeah.
Stephen's
My cousin was the copper, by the way.
We're about to bust Stephen's cousin.
Make that clear. Let's make that
Stephen's
clear.
cousin was asleep in the bed when he was just...
I mean, listen, it was cool. It was cool. It was the biggest anticlimax ever because it was like...
Oh, really?
It was the wrong place or whatever it was. And it was good. You know, I wanted to do a lot of research to understand procedure and whatever, but actually it turned out like getting onto set, it wasn't about him being a policeman. It was about the heart. The heart of it was he's a dad.
He's a dad.
Right? He could relate.
And the thing with Ashley doing this, with Ashley, for him in this character, I think he's phenomenal because we always see Ashley, and rightly so, he was brilliant in Top Gun.
It's a shame.
Do you know what I mean? He's fantastic.
I still see
But I
it.
wanted you to see another side of him.
It was so good.
And he's done that. He's smashed it.
We have to talk a couple of things. Firstly, 1,000 Blows, which is brilliant, and actually you directed some of the episodes of that as well.
did, yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank
What a
you.
brilliant thing to be part of.
Oh, it was amazing, man. When I got the call from the big man, you know, I didn't want to say no. And yeah, I loved it. It was great for me.
Again,
Great
Aaron
to be a part of
Doherty.
it.
I was hoping
wow.
for a little cameo in that. I wanted to be a little
You
Irish
would have been
fighter that gets
so
the living
good.
kicked out of him.
It's go again, dear. You never know.
Next time, he's a good actor. You
And
know.
secondly, we have to talk Springsteen. So you are in Deliver Me From Nowhere. You're in that as Bruce's dad. I'm a huge Springsteen fan, Douglas. So what was it like? You met the great man. Jeremy Allen White is playing him.
Yeah, he's phenomenal.
In Nebraska. Have you seen it yet?
No, because I was there for a few days and we shot it. And if I'm really honest with you, Bruce is one of the most wonderful, humble men I've ever met in my life.
Yeah.
He was, and he's an icon, you know, and he's an absolute icon. But what a wonderful man.
And the relationship he's got with his dad was so nuanced because
Yeah, it was difficult.
he was his greatest hero and his greatest foe in exactly
His dad
the
was
same.
an alcoholic,
Yeah.
manic depressive, do you know what I
my
mean?
God.
So it was a tricky piece.
Yeah, you met him, didn't you? He's a lovely man.
Yeah, he's wonderful. I'm going to go and watch him at Anfield when he plays.
Football.
I mean, you could stick him on the right wing, you know what I mean, probably. But no, he's going to play at Anfield, I think.
Oh, amazing.
Thanks,
Ashley
guys.
and Stephen, thank you so much. It's so good. Adolescent, you have to watch it. It's unbelievable. It's on Netflix now. Do not miss it. Thank you so much.
Adolescence stars Owen Cooper and Faye must say join us now. Hello, both of you. Thank you so much for coming in. It's been a whirlwind for us. Every day, as Kat was saying, we've been talking about themes to do with adolescence, talking about some of the reaction to it, having the writers and the stars in. To have you both here today to really talk about it is a real privilege. So thank you for joining us.
The show,
yeah,
actually.
very much so.
Thanks for having us.
I wonder what it's been like for you, Owen, particularly because it's your first foray into this world, and it's we've never seen anything like this. How have you found it?
It's gone well so far. I've not had any bad things said about me, so I'm doing well.
That's a good start.
Yeah.
That's a good start,
So
considering
far,
the subject
so
matter.
far, yeah.
But, of course, how are you dealing with the attention? Because I'd imagine you're walking along the street and people are stopping you to talk about
No,
it.
to be honest, it's not even been that bad. When I've been working, I've been in Yorkshire, so I've not had that many.
The attention hasn't been too much.
Which is good.
What about your mates, your schoolmates? Are they giving you any grief?
No, I haven't seen them yet. So I'm in school soon. So
Go back on Monday, right?
Are you back on Monday?
Are you?
yeah. So
Have you got a lot to catch up on?
No, well, I've been doing tutoring while I'm working, so I don't think so.
Right.
OK.
But I just can't. I want to see my mates, but it'll either be a really good day or a really bad day.
I think it'll be a good day.
It's going to
I
be a
think
good
it
day
will
seeing your
too.
mates. The bad thing will be
yeah.
having to sit through lessons and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
No, he's clever, you know that. So you were just saying you've been working. What are you working on right now?
It's Wuthering Heights, so I'm playing young Heathcliff.
Young Heathcliff.
And how does that compare? Because obviously you're used to doing everything in one take, which is quite a unique way of working, essentially. So how does that compare? And you're working with Margot Robbie too.
I know.
Is it
Yeah.
good?
Well, Yeah, I see her all the time and speak to her all the time, but I don't really have any scenes. I don't have any scenes with her, so. But the.
She all right?
Yeah, she's really nice. Really.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah.
I think your mates might be interested in that coming up.
I reckon.
Yeah. But the filming wise, it's fine. It's just a lot different, obviously. But yeah, it's going really well. Yeah.
Are you studying? You're not studying Wuthering Heights at school for GCSEs or anything, not yet. That's a shame because you'd have an inside track.
I know,
That would be great.
Faye, it's the extraordinary thing is, and he's taking it in his stride, which is just so lovely. And it sounds like his team and family are keeping him away from a lot of that.
Yeah.
But for you, you've been an actress for many years. You've been surrounded by these things.
Yeah.
Have you ever experienced anything quite like this?
No, never. In the, I think it's 14 years I've been doing it now, and I've been in some lovely things, you know. But it's never made an impact in the way that this has made an impact, and the conversations it started, and that's what we wanted, you know. When I read the script, I knew in the first page that it was going to be amazing. I knew that I was part of something that was very, very special, and was going to start conversations that we all need to have. But I didn't, for the life of me, realise it was going to break records and, you know, be mentioned in Parliament and, you know, potentially be used in schools and things like that, you know, so...
All over the world as well.
Yeah,
My cousins are in Australia and they're all talking about it on their breakfast shows and their talk shows and stuff.
Yeah, it's a crazy response, and, you know, to witness Owen do his first major job and see this talent, this young man that comes from a similar background to most of us that were in the show, you know, we all come from similar world, and to have him blow up like this is an amazing thing to watch. So yeah, we're very, very lucky. We're very lucky, aren't we, mate?
Yeah.
Aww. And you were, it was kind of a bit of a baptism of fire for you, because you started with episode 3 on your first day.
First day, episode 3.
Which is that double-hander with you and Erin.
Yeah.
We've had Erin on the show before. It was so brilliant too.
Yeah.
And you had all this dialogue to learn. You had all
Remember
of
how many
that.
pages of dialogue it was?
I think it was 40 odd.
40 pages of dialogue to learn.
Yeah, I don't know. It might be less, might be more. I'm not sure.
And you knew them on the first day, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean...
And so did anything...
I'm still there with the script.
Yeah. Did anything ever go wrong? What went wrong during the...
The bits where it went wrong was in the rehearsal weeks that we had.
Right.
But in by shoot, me and Erin were perfectly fine.
Did you yawn, though?
Yeah, I
The
did.
yawn's become a thing, hasn't
Yes,
it?
it has.
Yeah, I was
yawn.
Yeah, I was tired, so I just yawned, and then Erin backed me up and secured it, and it worked. So yeah.
This is the moment, and you. This wasn't obviously intended, but it's such a perfect,
brilliant
moment in terms of her reaction, but also the way you react as Jamie.
Yeah.
You know, that scene. I mean, Faye, have you ever seen anything quite so compelling?
No, I haven't, and I think it's a masterclass from both of them, from Erin as well. I think the attention to detail that this young man has is astounding. For example, I actually went wrong in one of my takes.
No.
I don't know if you'll remember this, but we were doing the interview scene in episode 1, and I put the picture of Katie down and said, do you know Katie Miller? Do you remember? Which is your surname. It's meant to be Katie Leonard.
Oh, I see.
And
Yeah, I
Owen just
Easy
fired
flip.
back straight away. Her name's Katie Leonard, by the way, just straight into my eyes. So I had 2 reactions. One, I was bright red and going, I've ruined this take for everybody, and there's Stephen Graham and there's Ashley, and I've got Owen and Mark Stanley. But then the other part of me was like, amazed by this kid's presence. And we all had each other's backs in there. And, you know, Owen's capable of doing it. We were all capable of looking after each other like that. So, yeah, he had my back, you know, and...
Amazing.
It's just, it's a credit to
Didn't you misplace the car keys in one take?
I didn't misplace the car keys.
Sorry.
It wasn't me.
There were some car keys misplaced.
There's a chase scene in the end of episode 2 where Ashley is running. While that's happening, I'm getting into a car and driving the car up so I can be behind the camera to do my next bit. I get in the car doesn't start, so I have to get out of the car and run after them, you know, like heaving, like asthma attack vibes going on, you know. So, yeah, there were a couple of things that went wrong, but in general, we got on with it and we looked after each other. And,
So, I mean, what happened, obviously, when you're in the take and, you know, you try and do it in a wanna and you're going from beginning to end, you've got to be so focused. But during the rest of the time, during the setups and things like that, what were you doing? Were you hanging out together? What were you doing?
In the rehearsals?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it was... The rehearsals were just... we took it simple, so... And it was just for me to learn and to see what happens on a film set.
Right.
So, and to meet everyone, to meet Stephen, to meet Faye and all the cast, so it was amazing.
Yeah. And you and Stephen got on about football as well. Were you playing a bit of footy on...
No, there wasn't really a place to play footy, but the Euros was on at the time, so...
Ah.
There was a lot to discuss. You're both Liverpool fans as well. This is the issue. Trent Alexander-Arnold looks like he might be on his way. Yeah. This is what we're fuming about.
Yeah.
For free.
He deserves to be at a club like that, though. So.
Do you think so?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. We'll not get into too much football.
Literally, straight over my head.
There is also the other thing, though, and this was your first experience of being on a film set, your first experience. And yet, as Faye will tell you, it's never like this. You don't shoot things in one take as well. Did you get towards the end of a scene, like, so episode 3 when you were there, and you're thinking, right, we're nearly there, we've nearly got there, and you're thinking, don't forget your lines, or were you just so involved that actually that wasn't really part of the process?
By the 3rd week in shoot week, the lines weren't a problem. It wasn't focusing on lines, it was just making it different every take. So, and the lines were just stuck in our head, we wasn't really focused on the lines, but yeah, it was just the notes that Phil gave us that we had to focus on, so yeah.
And so initially, you wanted to be a footballer, essentially, didn't you? You're a pretty mean football player. Then you got into acting about 2 years ago or something like that. How did it happen? What happened?
Well, I used to go to this drama class called Drama Mob in Manchester.
Right.
And I did that for about 2 years. Okay. And then I got a self-tape for Adolescence, and then I did loads of auditions and recalls and stuff, and then, I got it.
So have you put the football ambitions to the side for the time being?
Well, I was at training last night, so...
Were you?
Yeah.
Is that why you went back up? So your football team, you still need to be training with your football team?
No, I didn't need to, I just wanted to.
Have you got a match?
That's why you got in the car at 4 o'clock this morning.
There are priorities. This is one of the things.
Well, they say have a plan B, you know.
Exactly.
I don't think this kid needs a plan B, though.
Was it everything that you imagined? Was it... Because obviously, 2 years, that's not that long, really, to start going to drama classes.
Well, I started in 2021, so it's 4 years ago, and then I was doing it for 2 years. But when I was younger, drama and acting wasn't in my DNA. I wasn't thinking of doing it. So
anyone in the family do any acting?
No, it's just me. So I don't know where I got it from, and then a couple of years ago, I just wanted to do it. It just clicked in me. I don't know where it came from. I just did it.
Obviously, a fabulous talent. We're talking talent, though. You've got quite a claim to fame when it comes to football.
I do.
Yeah, you've got some football.
I do. I also wanted to be a footballer. My friend, Jill Scott.
You played against?
When I was a kid, I don't claim to know Jill now, but it's amazing to see what she's done for women's football. And
one of the greatest lionesses of all time.
National treasure.
And you played against her?
Yeah, I played for a team called Cater Girls, and her team was called Bolden. And I can see her now in her strip, and she was way taller than me. And everyone was just, she was just the best on the pitch. Rightly so. Yeah. So. Yeah, I used to play as well. Middlesbrough fan myself. Not
Borough fan. It's where Cammy's from. There's been some great times as a Borough fan.
Yeah, of course.
Don't forget. Janino.
There we go.
Ravanelli. I get mistaken for Janino all the time.
Do you? Oh, I can see it,
Oh, my Lord.
Sorry.
Oh, no way. Oh, my goodness.
And what's magical, Owen, is that this experience that you've had is something you're going to remember and your family remember for a very, very long time. We're so excited for you. Thank you for what you've done, for all of you. I know Stephen's been really important to you, and did he introduce you to your now agent?
Yeah, he did, yeah.
And long may that continue.
That's the thing about that group of people. The group of people we were with are supportive. Hannah, Stephen, Joe, Phil, they put together, people that really want to support each other, and, this is what result that you get from it.
And I said, when Owen sat down, I said, you've got to tell me how you've managed to cut your fringe off, because all the teenage boys at the moment, including mine, have this ridiculous thing going on in the front, and you were saying it was for the role.
It was for the role, so, and it does really fit the role as well, so...
But you've got to go back to school Monday without your floppy bit.
No, I've been in school without all this.
And what your mates think
There was about a week where I got taken the mick out of, but that was about it. They've all got over it now, so, yeah.
I think an attachment.
Yeah.
Pin on one.
Or like a whip.
Yeah, it's a little attachment on.
Just a clip-on fringe?
No. What are you getting your mum for Mother's Day yet? Do you know? Got to do it. You've got to get something.
I'll just probably nick one of these flowers.
There you go.
Can I have some for my mum?
You know what? You can take your pick, my friend.
You've heard that right.
You absolutely have. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for having us.
Lovely to meet you, Faye. And best of luck for the future. I'm sure we'll see a lot more of you.
Yeah.
And fingers crossed for Liverpool winning the league this year, eh?
Oh, yeah.
I think it's pretty confirmed now.
It is pretty confirmed.
Of course, Adolescence is available to watch on Netflix right now. I'm sure many of you have watched it, but hopefully having met some of the cast, met the writers, you'll understand a little bit more of how important this show has been for everybody. It's been brilliant.
House of Commons to the gates of the scriptwriter's son's school. Creator Jack Thorne is here now to tell us about the incredible reaction that the drama has had. Good morning.
Good morning.
Congratulations. It's so rare that something that's written so brilliantly, shot so beautifully, creates such a conversation amongst everybody. Doesn't matter where you're from, what your background is, so many people are talking about this show. Did you ever expect it to be that huge?
No, not to any degree. It's been overwhelming, to be honest. What I did know was that I was working with the most extraordinary group of people and that we'd made something that we were incredibly proud of. And Netflix were excited by it, and then they put it on and it's just exploded, and we're all sort of reeling from it.
I bet. It's a bit overwhelming, I'd imagine.
Yeah. And I'm not used to it. I've been writing TV for 20 years. I've been trying to write drama that has impact for 20 years, and then this show has just sort of slammed through many doors that I've wanted to be open for a long time.
You and Stephen have this extraordinary relationship, which is really, really palpable. Can I ask a question? Because, of course, as Kat said, it's beautifully shot, it's extraordinarily acted, it's so well written. What came first? Did the idea of doing a one-shot drama come before the content, or was it the content that Stephen had that then sort of lent itself to the one-shot drama?
So Stephen and Phil Barantini, our amazing director, made this film Boiling Point. And Plan B, which is Brad Pitt's company, brought Phil in to talk to them and said, what about trying to do something in the television space? What about trying to do a one-shot TV drama? And he said, oh, that could be really interesting. And he took it to Stephen, and Stephen said, I'd like to look at knife crime. And that was the starting point of all our conversations. And then, thankfully, he brought me into the mix, and I was like, yes, please, show me where to sign.
It's amazing, isn't it, how they all sort of complement each other so brilliantly.
And, like, right place, right time, too. How much did you know about toxic masculinity before you started writing, and how much did you then reveal the layers of the onion and suddenly understand more?
So when Stephen first talked to me about it, the one sort of stipulation he made was, I don't want this to be a drama that blames the parents.
Yes, which I think is really clever.
It's really important.
Yes.
And that thing of just going, this is not going to be about an alcoholic, abusive dad. This is not going to be about controlling mum. This is not going to be that sort of story. We want to look inside this all. But that then left an issue of how do we create this boy? And we wanted it to be that blame is diffuse, that it's not just as simple as going, it's this, it's that, it's the other. But we did need more than we had. And someone that worked with me, Mariella Johnson, said, I think you should look at incel culture. And I had some understanding of it and some, I'd read articles about it, but I hadn't really gone down those holes. And then I spent a long time in a lot of very strange places, looking at a lot of strange content. And the thing that surprised me was how attractive it was.
Which is so frightening.
It's so frightening. Yeah. And that thing of going, if I was a 13-year-old boy and I was told there is a reason why you feel unattractive, there's a reason why you feel isolated, there's a reason why you're not sure how to talk in certain situations, and that's because the world is against you. And the reason why the world is against you is because 80% of women are attracted to 20% of men, that this world is female-dominated, and you need to find ways to reset the balance. And the more of these videos I watched, the more convincing I found it. And that's when I started to work out how we could write Jamie.
Yeah.
I mean, you're a father yourself, of course.
Yes.
We've all got boys. Like, my boys are sort of a bit older, your boys are not very far off.
Mine's
Jamie's age.
9 and 6, so I'm like 4 years out.
Yeah, my boy's almost 9.
Yes.
So I'm in exactly the same place. Exactly the same place.
And there will be parents who are watching it and undoubtedly have watched it, and it will be terrifying. I mean, it's up the anxiety levels for parents trying to navigate those things.
Yes.
There's a responsibility that comes with that, Jack, isn't there?
There is. And what we're not saying with this show is that there's loads and loads of Jamies out there, that there's, that because your son is in his room and he's shut the door, that means that he's going to inflict harm on another person. We don't want to be a show that suggests that. Jamie is a product of a lot of different things, but at the same time, being aware of what your kid is consuming, being aware of what's out there, I think is really important. And it's awoken anxiety in me, and it's awoken conversations with my wife about how we handle all this and how we help Elliot through it all.
The fact that it's been talked about in government, the fact it's been talked about absolutely everywhere is testament to that.
Yeah, did that amazing speech too.
Yeah, Gareth Southgate, the Dimbleby lecture. I asked the viewers for some questions for you.
Brilliant.
I'd like to share these for me. Sharon says, are we going to get a second series exploring Katie's story? And Kathy along that saying, the last episode, it feels like it's left it open for more. I know you're still reeling right now from the impact of this, but would the two of you be up for trying to do more if the opportunity was there?
Well, I'd say two things to that. The first is, I don't think we're the right people to tell Katie's story.
OK.
So I think there are other makers out there that could tell beautiful dramas about Katie or girls like Katie, and that those shows should be made. Our aim was to try and tell Jamie's story as fully as we possibly could. And maybe trying to tell her story would dilute that in some way, or maybe we would be inadequate to that task. The second thing in terms of a second series is I think Jamie's story is finished. I don't think there's anywhere more we can take Jamie. So I don't think there is a series 2. We'd love to explore the one-shot format in another way. We'd love to tell other stories with it, but I don't think a series 2 of Adolescence is quite right for us.
It's so interesting how you say Jamie's story is finished, but so many other little boys and little girls' stories are just beginning.
Yes.
Where would you like to see this going? What would you like to see the influence of this amazing drama?
I hope what this show does is it doesn't provide easy answers. It doesn't say, this is the way to solve this, this is the way to do that. I hope what it provokes is conversations on the sofa, conversations in classrooms, hopefully conversations in government. You know, when I was a kid, watching EastEnders with my mum and talking to her about what was on EastEnders that week, they were the best conversations we had. They were the best. They were the bits where we got inside what it is to be a human, you know, and what you... And those have been the best emails I've got about this too, has been, like, people saying, I've had conversations with my kid that I've never had before because of this show. And that is where I hope our sweet spot is, in creating conversation.
You've done exactly that. Anthony says this is one of the best series I've watched in a long time. Great acting, it was real, raw, emotional. The strong message was loud and clear. The ending was perfect. Susan, Adolescence is absolutely brilliant. A sensitive eye-opener for all. Thank you for everything. Jack,
That's
honestly,
very kind.
it is an extraordinary bit of drama. We've loved it, and we will continue to talk about it as well. It's great to see you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Brilliant and disturbing four-part drama series that's become the most watched show on Netflix around the world over the weekend.
Yeah, they were talking about it on Lorraine, weren't they? We're talking about it today again. You're going to be talking about it everywhere you go. Adolescence is the series. It centres on a 13-year-old boy who has been accused of murdering a female classmate. It explores the haunting reality of murder, misogyny and the danger of social media amongst young people today.
Ashley! You're making a big mistake! He's only a kid!
Dad, I haven't done anything!
I'm going to start off with asking you.
Do you know a girl called Katie Leonard? Yeah? Describe each other as friends, then.
Is she dead, then?
Why would you ask her?
What have you done?
Dad, you're not reading what they're doing. It's a call to action by the manosphere. 80% of women are attracted to 20% of men. You must trick them because you'll never get them in a normal way.
Look at me now!
I mean, it was just brilliantly acted, brilliantly written,
such compelling,
constructive,
terrifying.
Well, aside from the critical acclaim, the show's close-to-home subject matter has left many parents across the country asking themselves just how real is adolescence. We're joined now by David Wilson to tell us more. I mean, we were watching it. We were both watching it last night and texting each other in between, just going, it's so traumatic. Tell us, for those people that haven't seen it, give us a brief outline.
OK, so you're right. This is an incredible piece of TV drama. Brilliantly acted, technically dazzling, one long continuous shot for each of the 4 episodes. It's about 13-year-old Jamie Miller, and the opening scene is of Jamie Miller being in his bed, in his bedroom. Police enter his bedroom and arrest him, accused of having murdered, stabbed to death, one of his classmates. And the narrative arc is effectively, is he guilty of that crime? And then very quickly, the narrative arc turns into, why would he do this kind of thing? And of course, the key piece of information to remember is this is a 13-year-old boy. Could a 13-year-old boy be radicalized so much online that he would be prepared to use lethal violence?
I think the thing that's so extraordinary is watching it as parents to boys. Mine are older than yours, of course, and realising my boys have been through those teenage years as well, where there's so much complication because of the advent of social media and digital media as well. But this idea of male rage and young men being radicalised, David, is something that is so alien to us as 50-year-olds and late 40s, but to understand that for these young men, and obviously for the character Jamie as well, that it's very, very real.
Absolutely. And really, the drama is about male rage, the manosphere, incel culture. Do 80%, as the incels will believe, 80%...
Can you explain what an incel is?
An incel is literally an involuntary celibate. And ironically, that phrase was coined by a woman. It was a woman in Canada who had no friends and hadn't been having sex, so said she was an involuntary celibate. And over time, in particular since 2014, with crimes committed by Elliot Rodger in California, who was a spree killer, incel culture has become more and more prevalent on social media. And the big thing to remember about your boys, 18 and 19, your boys are younger. My son is 32. You know, when they used to consume television or videos, they did so often in a communal setting with the family on the sofa. Now, of course, Gen Z's, young boys, 13-year-old Jamie Miller, brilliantly played by Owen Cooper in the series, is consuming this material online for as long as he likes. And of course, the algorithms will direct him to ever more extreme forms.
It's an echo chamber, isn't it? It's just the same thing, but even more extreme.
And therefore, the point, in a sense, and why I'm so pleased that we're doing this item, is to get people to talk to their kids about these things. You know, this is a problem, this male rage, this manosphere, this incel culture, this kind of buffet radicalization, where young people will take a bit of this, a bit of that, a bit of something else. The key thing is to get people to start talking to boys about what it means to be a man, how to perform masculinity, because, of course, we've so often allowed that to be that responsibility of talking to them to be given away to social media influencers like Andrew Tate. And I think that's why it's caught so much of the public's imagination, because they'll be aware, for example, that Carl Clifford, who was recently convicted of the 3 murders of the Hunt family, was watching Andrew Tate videos online prior to committing those murders. So it's really important that we start talking to young men about the performance of masculinity.
Because this wasn't based on one particular episode. It wasn't one crime,
Real crime,
But Andrew Tate is mentioned in here.
Yeah, the female detective mentions Andrew Tate in the second episode when the detectives go to the school of 13-year-old Jamie Miller. But Stephen Graham, who wrote this with Jack Thorne, said it was inspired by what happened to Ava White, a 12-year-old girl in 2021, and Eliane Adnam in 2023, both girls that were murdered by being stabbed. Now, the key thing, remember, though, is that a lot of the reason why this has captured the public's imagination is that you can also think about Nicholas Prosper, who recently murdered his mother, his sister, and his brother in Luton, and even Axel Rudakabana, the Southport killer. What is happening to young men that they are becoming so radicalised that they are using lethal violence?
Well, look, one of the scenes that has got everyone talking is the discovery that the teenagers in the drama are using emojis as a sort of secret language with double meanings, hiding their true intent behind the messages.
You've been looking at Insta, right?
Yeah.
The dynamite. What do you think that means?
I don't know.
It's an exploding red pill. Oh, she's saying he's an incel, Dad.
He's 13. How can you be involuntary celibate at 13?
I know.
Who isn't celibate at 13, huh?
She's saying anyways, Obi. That's what they say, you're an incel. You're going to be, I don't know, a virgin forever, basically. And all those people have heard, which means they're agreeing with her.
But how much truth is there to this secret emoji language, and which emojis could be cause for concern?
Well, we're joined now by Alice Beer on the sofa and also Dr. Olivia Brown, who's an Associate Professor in Digital Futures at the University of Bath. Thank you for joining us this morning, Olivia. I mean, we should point out that you have a real interest in online behaviour extremism, and you've spent 5 years studying the far right, this manosphere and incel behaviour. David has just given us an outline of the idea of incel behaviour and how pervasive that's becoming. And then when you watch that drama from your perspective, what did you make of it? Particularly that scene we just looked at where we suddenly understand that young people are using these emojis in order to deliver unseen messages.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a really fantastic piece of television, and I think the main thing here is it's shining a light on the fact that within online communities, people are using emojis, they're using memes, they're using specific terms and phrases to communicate things that might look on the surface to be quite innocent, but it's really shining a light here that there is often a hidden meaning to these memes, to these emojis, that's only really understood by the community itself. So if an outcome of this is that parents are talking to their children more, well, I think that's only a really positive thing.
And Dr. Olivia, these emojis are constantly evolving, essentially. But can you give us some examples that exist at the moment that you've seen before and what the meanings are?
Yeah, so one of the most common ones, and it's talked about in the show, would be the emoji of the pill. So this is to represent the concept of red pilling. So this is used by lots of different communities across the manosphere, essentially conveying this idea of someone opening up to see the real truth in the world. It's sort of borrowed from ideas from the Matrix films, if you've maybe seen those. But for people in the manosphere and the incel communities, this tends to mean promoting ideas around male superiority over women, and importantly, women being the cause of men's issues within society. And you can certainly see how that might fuel anger towards women. And of course, as we see in the show, actually violence towards women as well.
I'm fascinated because, of course, your interest is in this path of watching that drama, and of course we did point out it is a drama, just how real that felt to you with somebody who's an expert in this field.
It felt really real, and I think that's the really depressing but also important thing to come out of this show, is that we need to be talking to young people more about the communities that they're in, the content that they're exposed to, and also, crucially, the way that this can impact upon behaviour. And we're seeing this, as David's mentioned, time and time again with real-world cases of violence across the globe. This is not a UK issue, this is a global issue. And really trying to understand what the effects are on young people of being exposed to this type of extreme content time and time again on all sorts of platforms. In fact, it's almost harder for them to avoid the content than it is for them to actually seek out the content.
Yeah. Olivia, there's going to be loads of mums and dads sitting at home right now that are going to have seen Adolescence and hear what we're talking about, and they're going to be terrified. What advice would you give them?
The main thing is to try to create conditions in which you could have that open and honest conversation. What we don't want, and it's shown very well in the programme, is young people locking themselves in their bedrooms and feeling unable to express concern or worry if they come across content that makes them feel a certain type of way, that maybe makes them feel uncomfortable. So the best thing that we could do as parents is to encourage consistent, open and honest conversation. Make your child feel as though if they're worried about something online, that they can come and talk to you about that. And of course, it's a very tricky balance to strike there, but we really want to encourage more open and honest conversation between parents and children, because we know that children are being exposed to this extreme content more than they ever have. And obviously that's a big, big concern.
I mean, Alice, we sort of, while Olivia was talking, and it's fascinating to hear her talk, and we got David's perspective on this as well, we saw some of those emojis that are being used. For everyone home, as Kat was saying, as parents, you're going to be sitting there thinking, what on earth are my kids using when they use these emojis? Can you just talk through what they mean, what could be implied by their use?
Well, obviously, as Dr. Olivia was saying, that these are specific incel emojis. It's the pill, the dynamite. You're blowing something up. You're exploding a myth. You're exploding societal norms to, I've seen the light. I've seen the revelation, 100%. The bean, which evolved, I understand, from a coffee bean to a kidney bean. I mean, it is a code.
I think the 100% is about the 80% of women attracted to 20% of men. It's a breakdown of what incels believe.
Exactly. But these are very, very specific incel emojis, which which you will only see in very particular circumstances. In the worlds that Dr. Olivia moves in, the world that David moves in, but they're not the emojis that you and I are using in general parlance. There'll be people watching, who are in my age group, hanging on to my 50s by a thread, saying, what are we talking about?
Yeah.
The emoji is a beautiful symbol that we have used for the last, 20 years to convey the sun's out, it's snowing, have a hug. And there used to be, there were 170 odd emojis when they first came out. There's now nearly 3,000 emojis. It's this constantly evolving language. And as Olivia was saying, it works between communities and peer groups, but you've got to understand, and as Adolescence is showing, that you've got to understand what another peer group, another community is saying. So let's have a look. These drug emojis, obviously these are all seen in context. If you suddenly see a horse on your child's phone, it doesn't mean they're taking ketamine. But this, in the context of other troubled circumstances, the devil, ecstasy, the skull, the nitrous oxide balloon, probably more common parlance, cocaine, it's the nose, it's the petrol pump, it's the snowflake, and ketamine, the horse drug, obviously the horse tranquilizer.
Yeah.
But again, they're in the context of what else is doing. I remember we had on this sofa a mother who'd lost her child to suicide who said, I regret not being nosy. I regret not looking and upsetting my child by looking at their phone. So if you see, these are more interesting, I think, because if I saw a frog, I'd think that was cute. It means you're ugly. The smiley face without the smile, don't say a word to anybody. So the bullying, the asking for sexually explicit photographs, say with a video camera, you're going to be noticing them and realising, these are sexually explicit, they require a specific response. You're going to have a red flag that you then need to have a conversation with your child.
David, the reality of this as well, of course, though, that these are young people, so it's really agile. This conversation is really agile. All of those things that Alice just explained, they'll be onto something else by now because they'll realise, the grown-ups have seen what we're doing.
We're not fast enough.
We're not, and so how can we? I mean, I think it goes back to what Olivia's saying, and you've said it as well. How can the people watching today do everything they can to protect their kids, to help their boys navigate this period, and also the girls in their lives as well?
So it very much is about communication and not imagining, this is going to take place in school. One of the most incredible episodes was episode 2 that was set in the school. My son's a school teacher, and it might have seemed to somebody that doesn't understand schooling that it was an exaggeration, whereas in fact it seemed to me to capture a reality. Don't imagine someone else is going to solve this problem for you. You're going to solve this problem by being prepared to talk about it, not allowing your son or your daughter to spend hour after hour in their bedroom by themselves going down rabbit holes that's going to take them to places that they don't want to go to.
It is an extraordinary drama. And Olivia, if we can just come to you for the last word, can you give us some sort of optimism and positivity off the back of it? I think even if it is just opening those channels of communication, but the opportunity to de-radicalise some of these young men, I imagine, is out there as well, if you can get in front of it.
Absolutely, and I think that this conversation is becoming more and more mainstream, more and more prevalent, and I think that this show has been a really, really important step forward, particularly for parents, in really just understanding that you might think that the conversations that your children are having are completely innocent, but actually just trying to take a step back and thinking, well, maybe there's a bit of a hidden meaning going on here. Maybe we want to ask a few more questions, because as we've said, this will evolve. What is a problem now? What is a problematic emoji today? Probably won't be a problematic emoji in a few months' time. So the only way that we can sort of address that is by that continued communication and really trying to understand what it is that your child is doing when they're online. But hopefully this will trigger some of those important conversations. So I think there is some room for optimism here.
Good, that's what we need. Olivia, thank you very much for joining us this morning. It's great to get your perspective on it. David, as ever, brilliant, and Alice as well. It is a remarkable bit of television. The technical side of it is definitely worth taking in. The acting is incredible, but the themes behind it are so important as well.
Absolutely. Thank you.